Have you ever had a moment where your heart suddenly starts racing? Your chest feels tight, your breathing changes, and you think, what is happening right now? Nothing dramatic just happened, no terrible phone call, no obvious crisis, no clear reason, and that's what makes it so unsettling. Because when anxiety seems to hit out of nowhere, it doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels confusing, sometimes frightening. You look for the trigger, replay the day, and often come up empty. But in many cases, what feels sudden isn't actually sudden. It's delayed. It's accumulated. It's the body finally becoming loud enough that the conscious mind can no longer ignore what the deeper system has been carrying for a while. That's where the subconscious comes in. Most people assume that if they were truly stressed, they would know it. They imagine they'd be walking around thinking, I'm overwhelmed, I'm under too much pressure. But that's not always how it works. The conscious mind is a storyteller. It rationalizes. It says, I'm fine. It's not that big a deal. I can handle it. I just need to push through. Meanwhile, the subconscious is doing something very different. It's scanning for threat, tension, unpredictability, change, emotional friction, loss of control, overstimulation, and anything that might disrupt safety or stability. When something feels unsafe or uncertain, stress systems in the brain and body can begin activating before you've consciously made sense of it. The hypothalamus helps initiate that response. Adrenaline and noradrenaline prepare the body for action. Cortisol helps keep you mobilized and alert. That's part of why stress often shows up first as a sensation. A racing heart, shallow breathing, tightness in the chest, restlessness, or the feeling that your whole system is suddenly on edge. And safety, from the subconscious point of view, isn't just physical survival. It's also familiarity, a known routine, a known identity, a known emotional pattern, a known way life is supposed to be arranged. Your subconscious likes what it knows, so when life begins to drift away from that arrangement, even subtly, the system reacts. Maybe there's more uncertainty than usual. Maybe there's financial pressure in the background. Maybe conflict is unresolved. Maybe you're making a big decision. Maybe you're sleeping badly. Maybe you're constantly stimulated, constantly on, constantly taking things in, but never really coming down. Consciously, you may still be functioning. You're answering emails, going to meetings, taking care of people, making dinner, showing up, smiling, doing what you do. But underneath that competence, your system may be registering something else entirely. Things don't feel fully safe. Too many variables are open. Recovery hasn't happened. You're adapting, but not actually regulating. And the body doesn't need your conscious permission to respond. That's one of the biggest misunderstandings people have about anxiety. They think the body should only react once the mind has approved the reaction. But the body is often earlier to the truth. It responds to what your nervous system has registered. That doesn't mean every symptom is caused by stress, and it doesn't replace medical evaluation. But it does mean the stress response is biological, not imaginary. Heart rate rises, breathing changes, muscles brace, attention narrows. The body begins preparing for danger, even if the danger is unresolved pressure, chronic uncertainty, or cumulative overload, rather than a tiger in the room. That's why anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere is often not nowhere at all. It's backlog. It's an accumulation. It's the bill arriving after a long period of quiet charges. Stress is often like a credit card bill. Most people don't feel each swipe. A little tension here, a disappointing conversation there, a bad night of sleep, more caffeine, less recovery, lingering uncertainty, suppressed frustration, more stimulation, more responsibility, more things left unresolved. Each one seems manageable on its own. But the charges accumulate. And then one day the bill arrives in the body. The heart races, your chest tightens, your nervous system surges, you feel shaky, panicky, wired, or suddenly not okay. And because the symptoms arrive all at once, you assume the cause must have arrived all at once too. But that's often the illusion. Stress science has a phrase for this: allostatic load. Researcher Bruce McEwen used that term for the cumulative wear and tear on the brain and body that builds when the stress systems are activated repeatedly over time. In plain English, your system can adapt for a while, but adaptation has a cost. And when that cost keeps rising without enough recovery, the body starts making it harder to ignore. But there's another layer here that matters just as much. Sometimes the problem is not only that you've been carrying too much, it's that you've been carrying too much while living in ways that don't feel fully safe, aligned, or natural to you. This is where identity and subconscious blueprint come in. Because the subconscious doesn't only react to short-term stress, It also reacts when your life is organized in ways that feel unfamiliar, misaligned, or internally unsafe. You may be trying to become someone new, taking on more visibility, living with more uncertainty, holding a bigger role, suppressing parts of yourself to keep the peace, or living at a pace that doesn't suit your nervous system. Maybe staying in environments that quietly drain you, or neglecting the things that actually ground and regulate you. When that happens, the stress is not only situational, it becomes structural. Now your nervous system is not just reacting to a hard week, it's reacting to a deeper mismatch between your life and what your subconscious currently recognizes as safe, familiar, and sustainable. Because your subconscious is always trying to return you to what feels known, even if what is known is limiting, even if what is known is smaller than what you want, even if it no longer serves you. So when your conscious goals are pulling you one way, but your subconscious blueprint is still organized around a different version of safety, that creates friction. Sometimes that friction looks like procrastination, sometimes self-sabotage, sometimes exhaustion, sometimes being high-functioning, but secretly strained all the time. And sometimes it shows up as anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere. So yes, there may be a trigger in the moment, but the deeper cause may be that your system has been living in an unresolved tug-of-war for a long time, between who you've been and who you're trying to become, between what looks right from the outside and what actually feels settled on the inside. That's why in-the-moment relief matters, but it's not always the whole answer. Because if the pattern keeps repeating, eventually you have to ask a deeper question. What is my system organized around? Or what does my subconscious still believe is safe? What version of life, pace, visibility, identity, or control is it still trying to preserve? That's where subconscious work begins. Now, before I go further, one important note. If you're having severe, new, or persistent, or frightening symptoms, especially chest pain, fainting, major shortness of breath, all those things, anything that feels medically concerning, don't just assume it's stress. Get checked. Rule out what needs to be ruled out. That's not being fear-based, that's just responsible. But once urgent medical issues are ruled out, what do you do when anxiety or stress suddenly spikes? First, stop arguing with the experience. A lot of people immediately start fighting it. This makes no sense. Why am I like this? I shouldn't feel this way. I need to calm down. That usually adds a second layer of tension. Instead, start here. My body is having a protective response. That one sentence shifts the experience from chaos to meaning. Your body isn't betraying you. It's signaling. It's talking to you. Second, reduce stimulation. If your system is overloaded, more screen time, more scrolling, more caffeine, more noise, and more mental multitasking usually don't help. Put the phone down, step away from the screen, get out of the swirl, give your system less to process. Third, slow the breath, especially the exhale. Relaxation techniques that include slower breathing are associated with the body's relaxation response, including reduced heart rate and lower blood pressure. You're not trying to force peace, you're just giving the body a different cue. Nothing fancy is required, just inhale gently and exhale more slowly than you inhale. And stay with that for a few minutes. Fourth, move. Walk if you can. Not because a walk solves your whole life, but because rhythm helps. Forward motion helps. A change of environment helps. When the system feels trapped, movement can help restore a little flow. Fifth, take sleep seriously. People often underestimate how much poor sleep lowers the threshold for stress reactivity. Inadequate sleep is associated with significantly increased odds of frequent mental distress. And the CDC notes that adults generally need at least 7 hours of sleep for health and well-being. And sixth, ask better questions. Not just, what triggered this? Ask, what's been building lately? What have I been carrying? What has felt uncertain? Where have I been acting fine but not actually feeling fine? And then go one level deeper. Where am I living out of alignment with what actually feels safe, true, or sustainable for me? Where am I forcing a version of myself that my deeper system has not yet learned to trust? Where am I asking for symptom relief when the deeper issue may be identity level friction? Sometimes the trigger is small, but the load behind it is not. And a lot of high-functioning people miss that. They assume that because they're still performing, they must be okay. But functioning is not the same as being regulated. You can be productive and dysregulated, capable and dysregulated, helpful, successful, smiling and dysregulated. There's a reason people resonate with the phrase, the body keeps the score. The deeper point is that the body often reveals what the conscious mind has minimized, delayed, or normalized. The subconscious often speaks softly for a long time, through tension, irritability, shallow sleep, restlessness, through compulsive scrolling, through feeling wired but tired, through the quiet sense that something is off even when life looks fine from the outside. If those signals keep getting ignored, the signal often gets louder. That doesn't mean every symptom is psychological. It doesn't mean you should ignore medical care. And it doesn't mean every anxious response has one simple explanation. But it does mean that what feels random may not be random. And what feels irrational may have a deeper logic. Your subconscious is always tracking the difference between what looks okay and what feels okay. And when those two drift too far apart, the body often becomes the messenger. So if anxiety has been hitting you in ways that feel confusing, don't only ask what's wrong with you, ask what has been building. Ask what no longer feels safe, settled, or sustainable. Ask what subconscious pattern your system is still organized around, because that is where identity level change begins. That's where you stop merely managing symptoms and start understanding the deeper pattern beneath them. And that, for me, is where subconscious work becomes so powerful. If this resonated and you want to go deeper, check out the free Subconscious Starter Kit. Inside it, you'll find a free training to help you better understand the hidden patterns behind your behavior, stress, and self-sabotage, plus the Sanctuary Session, which is a guided hypnosis audio track designed to help you settle your system and reconnect with a calmer, safer internal state. You'll also get some foundational videos on the subconscious and hypnosis, so you can start seeing more clearly what may be happening beneath the surface. Because if this pattern keeps showing up, the answer may not only be learning how to calm yourself in the moment, it may be learning how to understand and begin to rewire the deeper pattern underneath it. Breakthroughs begin within. Bye for now.